Good morning students, welcome back to my channel. So this is my 11th lecture on electrostatic, and in today's lecture we are going to cover the topic of charge distribution. Distribution is clear to you, I think this word is very simple, but here we will talk about the distribution of charges. How these charges distribute themselves on giving to a surface. So as we know, only 1 Coulomb charge contains number of electrons 0.625 10 to power 19. These are the number of electrons which are present in 1 Coulomb of charge. 1 Coulomb is very small charge, and to develop this charge we required a very large number of electrons. So in our practical case we just don't take the number of electrons, we take the distribution of charges. So here the distribution of charges is basically mean if the group of charges are placed very close together as compared to their distances. Means consider this is a conductor, and if I give a charge Q to this conductor, then this charge will not remain at this place, but this complete charge will distribute itself on the surface of this conductor. This is called as continuous distribution of charge. This is termed as continuous distribution of charge. So today we are going to deal about this continuous distribution of charge. So whenever the charges are given to any conducting body, these charges spread on the body uniformly. If we take any non-conducting, then case is somewhat different. In non-conducting we will study discrete distribution of charge, but right now we are just talking about the conducting bodies where we are going to study continuous distribution of charge. So basically there are 3 types of distribution. So first one is your linear charge distribution. It is defined as if charge is distributed along a line, that is line can be considered as a one-dimensional curve, such kind of distribution is called as linear charge distribution. Now let us consider a straight line and some amount of charge is distributed on this line. Now here we have to find the term of linear charge density. Linear charge density is represented by lambda, and linear charge density is basically defined as charge per unit length. Charge per unit length. So suppose this is a line, a wire of length L, and the charge given to this wire is Q. The total charge given to the wire is Q, the length of the wire is L, then linear charge density lambda can be given as Q by L. So this you have to remember the concept of linear charge density, lambda equals to Q by L, and sometime it is also important for us to find the Q, so Q will becomes lambda times of L. So the SI unit of this lambda, you can easily find out. Charge is Coulomb and length is in meter, so Coulomb per meter is the unit of linear charge density. So this is one of the first kind of distribution, that is linear charge distribution. Moving forward, second one is your surface charge distribution. Now the name comes here, the surface, which means if the charge is distributed over a 2-dimensional surface. Surface comes in a 2-dimensional because of length and breadth. So any 2-dimensional geometry over the charge distributed, such kind of distribution is called surface charge distribution. Now let us consider a surface of area S, and the total charge given to this surface is considered to be Q. Q is the charge given to the surface. So if we have to find surface charge density, this is very important. Surface charge density is represented by the symbol sigma. It is represented as charge per unit area. So you can write sigma equals to Q by S, charge per unit area, or sometime we can also help to find out the value of charge Q can be written as sigma times of S, sigma into area. So the unit of the sigma this time charge is coulomb and area is meter square. So coulomb per meter square. This formula is used when the charge is distributed on any surface or plate. Moving forward to our third distribution. So my third one is volume charge distribution. If some amount of charge is distributed over a three-dimensional figure. So three-dimensional figure means cube, cuboid or any spherical body. So in that case we use volume charge distribution. So just consider an example. If this is a cube and the volume of this cube is V and some amount of charge which are distributed on this volume is Q. So we will use here volume charge density. Volume charge density is written by symbol rho. It is defined as charge per unit volume. So we can represent rho equals to total charge Q divided by the volume of the figure V. So rho equals to Q by V, and this formula can also be used to find the charge equals to rho times of V. So here this time the SI unit of this rho, this symbol is only pronounced as rho, RHO rho. The SI unit will be coulomb per meter cube because it is volume here. So these are the three types of distribution which I discussed. So let me summarize everything. Linear charge density. This linear charge density represented by the lambda. Lambda is the representation. It is defined as some amount of charge Q divided by length L, small length dl. So lambda stands for linear charge density, charge per unit length. So the unit of this lambda will be coulomb per meter. In similar way, surface charge density, which means the density of the surface, it is represented by sigma. Amount of charge is Q and let the area is small area A, so that is dA, and the unit of this sigma will be coulomb per meter square. Volume charge density, that is volume charge density rho equals to charge Q distributed over a small volume V. It is the unit of this rho is coulomb per meter cube. So one more important thing, so dq, if you have to find the small charge dq, so you can use dq equals to lambda times of dl. From this you can use dq equals to sigma times of ds, and from this you can use dq is equals to rho times of dv. So in order to find the complete charge, you can also use q equals to integration of lambda dl. Here your q equals to integration of sigma times of ds, and here your q equals to integration of rho times of dv. So on integrating you can find the total charge also. So suppose this is a small wire containing some charge. If I take a small segment of this wire, so this is a small segment of the wire dl, and this segment contains a charge dq. Small segment of the wire is dl and it contains a charge dq. So if I have to find the electric field, as we know electric field is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. The amount of charge upon distance square is r square. Now if I have to take complete wire, so we can use here electric field equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught integration. Now see, instead of dq I can write integration lambda times of dl by r square. So by using this formula we can find the total electric field. This total electric field is along the length of wire. In similar manner, if I take this as a sheet, area of the sheet is, that the small area of the sheet is dA, and with the charge holding this dq. So the electric field is given as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught times of charge upon distance square r, and again in place of this charge, small charge, what you can use 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught integration sigma times of small area can be considered as dA by r square. Similarly for the volume, if this is a cubic of volume V and small volume can be considered as dV with a small charge of dq, then electric field is given as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught charge divided by distance square, and for the total volume you can take the integration of 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. Instead of this charge you can take integration of rho times of dV upon r square. So this was the electric field for the surface charge, this was the electric field for the volume. So in these three ways we can find out the electric field. So total electric field due to continuous charge distribution. Remember, we are talking about continuous charge distribution. There are three types of continuous charge distribution: linear, surface and volume. So on adding all these three, we will get the total electric field is electric field due to linear, electric field due to surface and electric field due to volume. So on adding all these three quantity, we will obtain total continuous electric field. And one more important point, we must know about the discrete also. So discrete means for non-conducting or for isolated charges. For individual charge, we know that electric field is simply given as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. This is the electric field for individual charge, and these are the electric field for continuous distribution. So if we talk about total electric field, the total electric field is always electric field due to continuous charge distribution plus electric field due to discrete charge distribution. So this was the distribution of the charges. Now let me cover one numerical based on this topic. So in many times CBSE, this question was given in the sample paper. Obtain the formula for the electric field due to long wire, and this long wire having a uniform linear charge density lambda. But one important thing is given without using Gauss law. Now see, we will in our future lecture we will study this Gauss law, but right now it is given that we don't have to use this law. So without using this law, this derivation will get somewhat typical. So just go through it. But when we study the Gauss law, after that again I will solve this question. It will become quite easier for us. So in this question I won't use any Gauss law. So I just take a simple method. Let me consider a wire. And remember one more thing, many times it is also given as obtain the formula for electric field for infinite wire. So in place of long wire, they may also write infinite wire also. So let me consider. So let me take a wire. This wire approaches from plus infinity to minus infinity. So this is my wire with charge on it. Now let this be the center point of the wire, and from this point at a distance of x, this is my point P, where I have to find the electric field. So this is the point where the electric field is to be determined, and this is the infinite wire. Distance is x. So consider a small segment of the wire. So let me consider this is a small segment. The length of this segment is dy. dy is the length of this segment, and the distance of this segment is y. The distance of this segment from the center is y. So the electric field due to this segment, we just draw an electric field line because it is positive charge. So electric field will move outward. A small electric field dE. This distance is x. This distance is y. So according to Pythagoras theorem, this distance will be x square plus y square. In similar manner, at the same distance we consider another segment, and because of this segment the electric field will be moving outward dE. Same length x square plus y square. So this much we have to consider. I just considered a wire. Point is at a distance of x. Small segment dy gives electric field dE. Another small segment gives electric field dE. So on resolving this component, so just consider the vertical and horizontal line. If this is angle theta, then vertically this will be also theta. Taking the component of this, that is dE cos theta, and another component is dE sin theta. Similarly, if this one is theta, then vertically opposite to this one will be theta. So on taking the component, the horizontal component will remain dE cos, vertical component will become dE sin theta. Now look it carefully. Vertical upward and downward components will cancel out each other. So the net electric field is only due to dE cos theta. Now first of all, find the value of electric field. As we know that electric field is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught times of Q by R square. So small electric field dE, we have to consider the small electric field. So dE is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. So the small charge will be dq, and this time the distance is root x square plus y square whole square. So dE is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught times of dq upon, it's become x square plus y square, cancelling out in root with this square. Now see, one important thing is there, as the vertical components are cancel out. Just look through these two components. I am talking about dE sin theta upward and dE sin theta downward. Both are equal and opposite, so they will cancel out each other. So the net electric field which we have to find at the point P, this net electric field is only due to horizontal component, and your horizontal component is dE cos theta. So we can find the net electric field by integrating of dE cos theta. We just have to substitute the value of dE. So dE is your 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught times of dq upon x square plus y square times of cos theta. Now since one more important thing is given in the question, lambda. This wire having a linear charge density of lambda. If you remember, lambda is written as dq by length. Now what is the length of the segment is dy. So lambda is written as dq by dy. So we can replace the value of dq is lambda times of dy. Linear charge density, charge upon length. So here this time the length is dy. So on using this formula, 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught integrating. Now see, you have to use the limit. The wire extends from minus infinity to plus infinity. So minus infinity to plus infinity, instead of dq, lambda times of dy upon x square plus y square times of cos theta. One more important thing, if I multiply this factor by 2, I can change the limit. This is from minus infinity to infinity. If I get it multiplied by 2, the limit will change from 0 to plus infinity. Means I just divided the wire in two parts, minus infinity to 0 and 0 to infinity. So I get it multiplied by 2. It will change my limit from 0 to infinity. Lambda times of dy upon x square plus y square times of cos theta. So on simplifying a little more, taking this lambda outside, lambda upon 2 pi epsilon naught, integrating it from 0 to infinity, dy upon x square plus y square times of cos theta. So moving forward, so if we take tan theta, this tan theta is considered from the triangle. If you look at this triangle, in this triangle, if we take this theta, so tan theta is perpendicular. This perpendicular distance is y and the base is x. So tan theta from this triangle can be considered as, tan theta is perpendicular upon base. So your y is x times of tan theta. But we actually need the value of dy. So we just differentiate it. On differentiating with respect to theta, you will get dy is x times of differentiation of tan theta is sec square theta and d theta. So substituting the value of this dy, we were having E net is equals to 1 upon 4 pi, sorry, it's 1 upon 2 pi epsilon naught times of lambda. Lambda was here. Integrating it from 0 to infinity. Now instead of dy, I can write here x times of sec square theta d theta into it is cos theta, and in numerator it was given as x square plus y square. So x square plus, instead of y I can write here x square times of tan square theta. So I'm simplifying a little bit, taking x square common, we'll get 1 plus tan square theta into cos theta. If you remember one trigonometric identity, cancel out in this term. So in numerator you will get sec square theta d theta upon 1 plus tan square theta. It is also equal to sec square theta, and in into you have cos theta. So neglecting this term, x is here, moving this x outward, so 2 pi epsilon naught times of x integration of cos theta d theta. Now look here, this time our integration is with respect to theta, so you have to change the limit. Now look it carefully, how can we change? If this length is reduced to 0, your theta will also become 0, and if I make this length to infinity, your theta will also increase, and it will also become 90 degree. So if the length is infinity, theta is 90. If the length is 0, theta is also 0. So on alternating these limits, if the length is 0, theta is 0. If the length is infinity, your angle is pi by 2. So we have to change the limit because integration is with respect to theta now. So it's very simple now. Integration of cos theta is sin theta, limit is from 0 to pi by 2. So your net electric field is equals to lambda upon 2 pi epsilon times of x, upper limit minus lower limit, that is sin pi by 2 minus of sin 0. So your final answer is lambda upon 2 pi epsilon naught x. So this is your electric field due to an infinite charged wire, and we have used this without help of Gauss. So I know it's a little bit tricky and complex, but if you go through it 2 or 3 times, you will get it easily. Let me take one more example related to this topic. This time we have considered a circular ring, and we have to find electric field. Now where? Electric field on the axis of this circular charged ring. Now this is our ring, this ring containing a charge q, and this is the center of ring. A line passing from the center of the ring. This line passing from the center of the ring, it is only known as the axis of the ring. Now suppose at a distance of x from the ring, a point is P, and we have to find the electric field at this point only. In the same manner, we have to consider a small segment of this ring. Now let us consider the small segment with a charge dq. Because of this charge, the electric field will travel in outward direction, and this small electric field is your dE. Considering the same segment here, dE. So this center and this point is at a distance of x. Let's consider the radius of the ring is small a. A is the radius of the ring, x is the distance. So from the Pythagoras theorem, this hypotenuse is root x square plus a square. This is your hypotenuse. So what is the concept of electric field? We know that electric field is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught charge. Here the charge is dq upon the square of distance, and the distance here, this distance is root x square plus a square. So your electric field is now. This electric field are acting in different angle, so we just take the components of the electric field. Now on taking the components of the electric field, let us first draw horizontal and vertical line. If this is angle theta, then vertically this angle will be theta. So taking the component of this, it will be dE cos theta and this will be dE sin theta. Similarly, if this one is theta, then vertically this angle will be theta. Again taking the component, this component will remain same, d cos, and vertical component will be dE sin theta. Again see, at point P, this component and this component are perpendicular to each other. So we can just write here, at point P, the vertical components dE sin theta are cancelled out. So the net field at point P, so the net field at point P which we can give is only due to this component dE cos theta. So your net field is only due to integration of dE cos theta. So just substitute the value of dE. Now using this value of cos theta from this triangle, this is theta, this is base, this is perpendicular, and this is hypotenuse. So cos theta is base upon hypotenuse. So using the value of cos theta, integration dq upon x square plus y square, and using the value of cos theta is, that is base upon hypotenuse is root x square plus y square. So the constant quantities are taken out. Now what are the constant? 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught times of x upon x square plus y square whole power. See, this is the bracket half, power of 1, and this bracket is power of half. So 1 plus half, it is 3 by 2. And in integration we are only having dq. So dq is a small charge. If I integrate the total charge, then the total charge is equals to q. So on integrating the complete charge, you will get 1 upon 4 pi epsilon times of x upon x square plus y square whole power 3 by 2, and the total charge is q only. So it is basically given as, we know this bracket can be written as k. So k times of qx upon x square plus y square whole power 3 by 2. This is the expression for the electric field on the axis of the circular charged ring. So you just note these two formulas, these two numerical, very much important regarding your concept, and you can download this thing from the PDFs in the description box. Thank you.